aren't you curious? Or have we all been inundated and put slowly to sleep? Wealth and prosperity will be ours. All things continue like he did before. This isn't really the end. And there's American Idol. It's coming on soon. And not only that, we have to think about Lindsay Lohan. How is she doing in recovery? OJ's still in jail. All those antics of Lady Gaga, what will she do next? Welcome to our world. And then there's the sports. The Knicks are going to win this year. Distraction. And then my favorite, 2012. Nostradamus in 2012, right? 2012 is coming. 2012 is about the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar and the Mayans engaged in human sacrifice. If you don't know what that is, they would take you up, a person on each limb, drag you over this rock, take an obsidian blade, cut here, reach in, grab your heart, and go, ha, and throw the heart to the gods as your blood will go down the pyramid steps. So how can we trust anything from a culture? Guess where that information is coming from? It's coming from the fallen one. Well, what does it do? If you go to a person on the street and go, hey, what do you think's going on? I guarantee you, if they know nothing of prophecy, the first thing out of their mouth will either be 2012 or Nostradamus. Yeah, man, 2012 is coming. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm getting ready. And all 2012 does, and Nostradamus and all this nonsense, is obfuscate, muddy up the waters, and keep us looking from the prophecy, the biblical prophecy, which is being fulfilled right under my noses. That's what it's doing. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Come out of our slumber. Wake up, get involved. Destroy the works of the devil while there's still time. Get involved in the game. Know your prophecy. You say, what is good? When you're at the gas pump, or you're at the grocery store, or wherever you are at work, and something flashes on the news. Earthquake in Haiti kills 250,000 people. And your co-worker was not a believer. It was, man, this is getting really weird, or something like that. And I talked about this yesterday, but I need to tell you because some of you weren't here, no guilt, but I need to say this again so you understand that you don't start going, well, in the great holy book of the Bible, Jesus, our Savior and Lord, tells us in the Holy Scriptures that this, no, you go on under the radar. Don't speak Christianese to them. You see that later when they get curious. You gotta play it. You're speaking to, like when Paul goes into Greece, to the unknown God. They listen to him, right? Same thing with us. So you go, are you aware that in ancient manuscripts they talk about these prophecies, which talk about the times in which we're living in? Really, what are those? See? Because they've heard the Jesus stuff, and they confuse it with the nonsense that's on the TV, no anything to do with it. Or the scandals and sex abuse cases in the Catholic Church, no anything to do with it. So you go, yeah, these ancient prophecies talk about the time we're living in. Really, I didn't know that ancient prophecies talk about. Oh, just some things profound in the Dead Sea Scrolls, these things have been around for thousands of years. And you're not being deceitful, you're just being wise. And you slowly lead them. Well, it says that there'll be earthquakes in various places, troublesome times, famines, and pestilence, and wars and rumors of wars. Oh, really? Where does it say that? Well, in these ancient manuscripts. Let them beg for it before you show it to them. Let them beg for it. Really pique their curiosity. Witness to them that way. And I'm on coast to coast. It's a national radio all over the world. Millions of people listen. And I'm asked back, I've been on 9 times, whatever. And the reason why I'm asked back is I'm never religious on the show. Never. I say I call Jesus Yeshua because I know if I start talking Jesus or I start talking Christianese, and click, the radio goes off. I'll never get back on there again. It's always under the radar until about the 3rd hour, and then I start letting it out of the bag a little bit. Just a little bit. And I call the Bible the guidebook of the supernatural. We get emails from people who go, LA, what's the guidebook of the supernatural? Where can I get it? Well, as a matter of fact, and that's the deal. That's what it's about. So, I'll give you one more prophecy. Ezekiel 38, and this is bizarre. And again, if you know the prophecy, then it means everything. But Ezekiel 38 tells the Confederacy of Nations which are coming up against the land of unloved villages. Why should I care, right? 2,600 years ago, there was no such thing as a land of unloved villages. It didn't exist. Every city had huge walls around it. You had invaders. The invaders come, they kill you, take your wife, make your kids as slaves, take all your food, burn your their house down, the whole thing. So you have a big wall. That's what the people living in the ancient world. It's dreadful. So the prophet, 2,600 years ago, is pointing to a time in the future where Israel will regather from the four corners of the earth, set back in its ancient boundaries. And guess what? It'll be a land of unwalled villages. Huh? You see how crazy that is? If you understand what the prophet is writing 2,600 years ago, you realize the absurdity of his statement. How can that possibly be? Again, the modern world, the airplane, walls aren't going to do it anymore, are they? So now we don't build cities with walls. Israel is a nation that has no walls, no bars, no gates. Go up against a land of unwalled villages. Are we ready? Absolutely. The Ezekiel 38 prophecy, you guys should know that like at the tip of your fingertips. You should know that. If you don't, you need to dust off Ezekiel and start reading Ezekiel 38. You need to know that. Because it lists a group of nations which come up against a land of unwalled villages in the latter days. What are the groups of those nations? Russia is the first one, Magog. The second one is Persia. Same name, but it's called Iran now. Same place, but it's called Iran. Just like Cape Canaveral, now called Cape Kennedy. Same place, isn't it? Same thing as what they did in Persia. It's called Iran. Then we get Libya and Ethiopia. Those countries still exist today. Then we get Meshech, Tubal, and Togarmah. Those three nations comprise the nation of Turkey. Why should we care? Because Turkey, in the last 3 months, turned away from looking at the West and is now in bed with Iran. The stage is being set for Ezekiel 38. Absolutely being set for Ezekiel 38. There's no doubt about it in my mind. When that happens, it's a game changer. It's a literal game changer. All hell will literally break loose. Luke 21:25. 28 says, and there will be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and on the earth the stress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Men, this is Jesus talking again. In fact, go there. Go to Luke 21. Go to Luke 21. It's always good to handle your sword. It's always good to have it in front of you so you can see it for yourself. So you know I'm not pulling rabbits out of my hat. Hey, monkey pussy, put him in out of my head. Luke 21. 25 to 28. Luke 21. Golly, Bullwinkle, we're never going to get there. Okay, everybody there? And there will be signs in the sun and the moon and in the stars, and on the earth the stress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them through fear, and the expectation of those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to happen, look up. Lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near. Wars and rumors of wars. The Middle East is a hotbed. Do you guys understand that? Do you guys get it? That the Middle East is ready to blow at any moment, and when it does, our lives may completely change forever. Especially if there are dirty nukes in the United States, like some people, like myself, believe that there are dirty nukes embedded in American cities. I talked about that yesterday. I'm not going to get into it here today. But that's what we're looking at. It could be a two-pronged attack. When they go up against Israel, they hit America by detonating the terrorist sleeper cells, which have brought this stuff into the country. And this is all well documented. Look, I'll just give you one thing, because I got some people going, I'm thinking, hear this, real quick, okay? About 3 months ago, Hillary Clinton stands up and goes, terrorists are trying to get, wrong voice, but that's okay. Terrorists are trying to get weapons of mass destruction in American cities. Okay? That's what she stands up and says. 2 days later on Wednesday, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad stands up and goes, if we are attacked by anyone, we will detonate weapons of mass destruction in American cities. That's interesting. Why would he say that? He's throwing down a nuclear card out of the blue. Because everybody's ready to attack Iran 3 or 4 months ago because they're trying to get nuclear fuel rods right into the power plants and get them going. And the Israelis are going, we don't want them to get the bomb. The whole world's going, we don't want them to get the bomb. But no one does doodly squat. Why? Why? Because they know if they do anything to Iran, we got World War III, gates of Hormuz are closed, straits of Hormuz are closed, gate of tears, 60% of the oil stops, the lifeblood of the planet is oil. Now you go to the pump and you pay $20 at the pump, and that's so good. A week after that, a German journalist tells us that he believes Osama bin Laden is hiding in Iran. Osama bin Laden had what he calls the fatwa. A fatwa is a religious decree from an imam, which is like the Muslim's pastor. That fatwa allowed Osama bin Laden to bring into the country weapons of mass destruction. How did he do it? More than likely through the southern border, which he did this in the 90s. They are embedded and controlled by sleeper cells in cities in the United States. Osama was hiding in Pakistan. There's a quid pro quo, something for something. Osama says to the Iranians, hey, let me into your country because I'm about to get captured, and let me bring my entourage in with you, and I'll give you the key to the sleeper cells. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. A little bit of what he's saying. They all go down and jiggy with it. They bring Osama in. Osama gives them the keys to the city, so to speak, with the sleeper cells. I rest my case. Can I prove that? No. But connect the dots yourself. All this is available in different books, on internet sites, and we're not talking tobacco internet sites. Hard news internet sites. Hard news internet sites. When you Google it and hit news, you'll see this stuff come up. So now we believe Osama is not in Pakistan, he was hiding in Iran. So the wars and rumors of wars. I mean, is that happening? Is that a sign at the end that Jesus tells us? When you see these things begin to happen, what things? Wars and rumors of wars, famines and pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places, and troublesome times. Men fainting from fear from what's coming on the earth. I have to ask you rhetorically, are we in those times? Are we in a time where we see war and rumor of wars? What is threatened every day? What threatens everyone's life in some aspect? Because when the Middle East war happens and oil shoots to $200 or more a barrel and gas at the pump is $20, your life is affected by the war. You see where it's going? What if the food shortages begin to happen? Your life's affected. What if the trucks can't roll because there's no petrol? What if a dirty bomb goes off in the United States and not martial law is declared? You see where it could go? But you have not been given a spirit of fear, but of love and power and a sound mind. Why? Because we've been warned by Jesus himself ahead of time, when you see these things, don't freak out. Don't look at me with a worried look, but look up, because you'll know I'm coming. See where it's going? He's warning us. Look, he tells us that unless those days were shortened, no flesh would survive. His words. Why is that there? I don't want to hear that. I want to hear about how I get a bigger house and a Cadillac. I don't have any worries here. Right? That's why so many of these other ministries talk about that stuff. Meanwhile, the frog is boiling in the water, doesn't realize what's going on. And that's where we are. Wake up, folks. It's happening all around us. But we've not been given the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. Why? Because we can point to the words of Jesus and say, these things are beginning to happen. I'm not going to freak. I'm going to look up because he's coming back. He's coming back. The earthquakes, the famines and pestilence. There's a famine in Niger right now. You see, we all had breakfast this morning. We're all going to go to lunch. No one is starving in this room. Starvation pretty much doesn't exist over here. Over there, it's a way of life in certain countries. Literally a way of life over there. In Niger, they're saying perhaps as much as 17% of the population faces death by starvation. Sudan is another place where that's happening. Pestilence. Are you aware that the AIDS virus has killed over 50 million people in Africa? That's a 5-0. Entire villages are wiped out, leaving orphan children. 50 million. See, we don't hear about that. What are we showing constantly on the news? Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, O.J. Simpson, or the latest senator or congressman who has an affair or does something, or someone's coming out after 20 years and they declare that they're gay. This is what we're showing. See? Oh,